We have a very important fight coming up between Luis Ortiz and Alexander Dimitrenko, and it's happening on March the 5th. The place has not been organised yet, but it's going to be happening somewhere in America. Now, this is going to be a very important test for Luis Ortiz because Luis Ortiz, even though he's been very successful so far throughout his whole pro career, he's never faced a guy that's even the same height as him yet, which is actually quite surprising. If you go through everyone he's fought so far as a heavyweight, he's not fought anyone over, well, anyone even 6'4", which is the average height for a heavyweight these days. Everyone has been anywhere from 6'3", like Brian Jennings, all the way down to, I think, opponents that are 5'10". So he's always been the bigger guy in the ring, and he's always had the longer reach as well. So it's going to be quite a big test for him because Luis Ortiz is going to have to go and fight some guys like Wladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and especially Tyson Fury because he's just massive. And he's going to have to fight these guys, and he's going to have to be used. He's going to have to get some experience to fighting guys that are a lot taller than him, and even guys like Tyson Fury that have a longer reach than Luis Ortiz, because Luis Ortiz does have a massive wingspan of 84 inches. So against Alexander Dimitrenko, Alexander is 6'7". He looks a bit taller, but he's marked down as 6'7", and he has a very massive 83-inch reach. So when it comes to height and reach together, he's going to be very massive compared to Luis Ortiz. Kubert Pulev was a bigger guy than Luis Ortiz, and he looked small in the ring against Alexander Dimitrenko. So a little bit about Alexander. Alexander is he only a few years ago, I think maybe 4 years ago, before Kubert Pulev knocked him out in the 11th round, he was ranked 6th or 7th in the Ring Magazine's top 10 as the heavyweights, and I think he stayed at that position for maybe a couple of years. So he is quite a good boxer. He's beat guys like Michael Sprott, Ross Purity, Timo Hoffman, Derek Rossi. So he's beat some decent guys, and he's got a very good record, 38 wins and only 2 losses, and he's got a 62% KO rate. So he's not a massive power puncher. That's something he gets criticised on, but he's got some power. He was a gold medalist. He turned professionally very quickly. They rushed him too much. He should have had more of a amateur career. But he got a gold medal in the 2000 World Junior Boxing Championships at the super heavyweight division. So he did show a lot of promise as an amateur. He won that gold medal. He was fast tracked to being a professional, and he was rushed too much. He's been, when he fought Kubert Pulev, he was actually given Kubert Pulev, and by the way, Kubert Pulev is a very, very good fighter. He's a very underrated fighter, probably because he's from Bulgaria and a lot of English people don't take him very seriously. But Kubert Pulev's got very fast hands. He's got good footwork. He's maybe not got the best defense in the world, but he's got good reflexes. He's good at dodging the punches. And Alexander was giving him a very good fight for the first half of the fight. But the problem with Alexander is he gets tired. He gets tired halfway through the fight, and he kind of wears down a bit. Luis Ortiz doesn't have that kind of stamina problem at all. Luis Ortiz, before this fight, a lot of people thought he was going to be fighting Alexander Ustinov, because Luis Ortiz, whoever promotes him, Golden Boys, I think, promote him, they offered the fight to Andy Ruiz first. I think Andy Ruiz turned it down. Carlos Takman turned it down. Alexander Ustinov, who everyone thought he was going to fight, turned it down. And Bermine Stervern, he's turned it down as well, because Stervern's kind of rebuilding his career right now after the loss to Deontay Wilder. Luis Ortiz is a class above a lot of these guys, clearly. I mean, just from beating Brian Jennings there. Luis Ortiz, as we know, 24 wins, no losses. He's got a massive 87% KO rate. He's a very good southpaw, great footwork. He's got a solid defense. He takes his time. He only goes in for the knockout when he knows he's got the guy hurt and he knows he can finish him off very well. He's got a very good amateur pedigree, as I've said before. 320 wins, only 18 losses. Amazing, just a completely amazing amateur, pedigree he has. But in saying that, a lot of people will be thinking, even though Luis Ortiz has never fought anyone at pro his height, and as a pro, he's only fought guys smaller than him, that when he was an amateur, of having 338 fights, that he's probably fought some guys quite a bit taller than him. And that's not actually the case, because when Luis Ortiz did fight in amateurs, he fought in amateurs as a heavyweight, and a heavyweight in the amateurs is the same as a cruiserweight in the professionals. So he fought under 200 pounds. So more than likely, the guys he was fighting were the same height as him or smaller. So he's not really got that experience fighting tall guys like Alexander Dimitrenko here, who's 6'7" with an 83-inch reach. So this is going to be a whole new experience for him. This is going to be a very important fight for him. He's going to have to prove a lot here. He's going to have to prove that he can actually fight these good guys, and not these good guys, these tall opponents, and he should. And he should. And Alexander Dimitrenko, he's not just a big guy. He can box. He's got a good defense himself, good footwork. Just like I say, he won that gold medal at the amateurs, so he's got some power behind him, but not a lot, like I say. So this is going to be a good test for Luis Ortiz. If he can get past this guy, it's going to say a lot. And if he can knock this guy out early, it's definitely going to say a lot. Luis has had a very impressive career as a pro so far. His best wins are against Latif Keoti and obviously Bryant Jennings. And he managed to stop Bryant Jennings the first time in Bryant Jennings' career in the 7th round. But even though he's fought a couple of decent guys, Alexander Dimitrenko, I'm going to say, is probably be the second best opponent he's going to face as a pro so far. So I expect Luis Ortiz to get through Alexander. How much of a resistance Alexander puts up to Luis depends what kind of mindset he's going to come into this fight with. After Alexander lost to Kubrat Pulev, he had one more fight and then he retired for over 2 years. And now he's just starting to rebuild his career. And the guys he's been fighting are only ranked between the 200th and 300th in the world right now. So he's not fighting very many decent opponents. So, I mean, is he going to go in there looking at Luis as just a payday? Which is kind of possible, saying he's retired for 2 years and he's the level of opposition he's came back as fighting. I mean, I thought if Alexander was going to take it seriously to try and be a world champion, I would expect him to take some, at least some top 50 opponents, or at least some top 100 opponents before facing someone like Luis Ortiz again. So hopefully Alexander does come in the mindset he's going to try and cash Luis Ortiz's check to try and get a title shot again, because Alexander's came close twice. Alexander was in the WBO title eliminator to fight Wladimir Klitschko in I think 2010, 2012, and that's when he lost to Eddie Chambers. That was his first loss in his career. And then he had a second chance when he came up against Kubrat Pulev as well, of eventually getting another title shot with Wladimir Klitschko. And obviously he performed very well against Kubrat Pulev, who's a solid fighter, but he got tired in the later rounds and he started getting beat around and he got stopped. So maybe Alexander's going to come and he's going to look at this as another opportunity again, and he's got the opportunity early and he's going to take it. Or it could be that he's just looking for maybe some payday fights now. Another thing maybe to take into consideration, I don't really think so, is they're both their ages. Alexander's kind of still in the prime of his career still. He's 33 years old. He might not be fighting at the prime of his career, but he's still at the age where he could be at his prime if he put the work and the effort and he had the motivation behind him. Luis Ortiz is 36. If he's at his best, no one knows. Eventually, you will get to that age, and it could be 35 maybe, or it could be 39, 40. Who knows? Where you've actually you don't have it anymore to compete at the top level of the division. So anyway, from this fight, I'm expecting Alexander to put up a very good fight. Maybe for 3-4 rounds of this. It's going to make it very difficult, and Luis Ortiz is going to have to use his experience to figure out a way of actually getting past Alexander's height and reach, and getting to him. And I think if this does go into the later rounds, Alexander's going to get fatigued again. And from what I've watched of Luis, he can go in the later rounds. He's went the distance before. He doesn't suffer from stamina problems, which some people seem to think he does for some reason. And I think he'll be able to, if he doesn't get him in the mid rounds, he's going to definitely knock him out in the later rounds. I think Luis Ortiz is going to win this fight in the 7th round. So that's what I think of this fight.